There is a quiet heartbreak that happens when a parent realizes they are being avoided. It's not always a dramatic fight or a slammed door. Often, it's the slow fade of connection. The text messages that go unanswered for days, the vague excuses about being too busy to visit, the conversations that stay painfully superficial. You feel the distance growing like a weed in the garden of your relationship, choking out the closeness you once shared. This withdrawal leaves you feeling bewildered and rejected, asking yourself the haunting question, what did I do to make them want to stay away? The silence feels like an accusation, and the loneliness can be crushing. However, Viktor Frankl, the psychiatrist who found meaning in the darkest depths of human suffering, teaches us that avoidance is rarely just about not liking someone. It is almost always a protective mechanism. It is a symptom of an internal struggle. Your adult child isn't necessarily avoiding you as a person. They are often avoiding the feelings, memories, or expectations that your presence triggers in them. Frankl's wisdom invites us to stop taking the withdrawal personally and start investigating it with compassion. He challenges us to look beneath the surface behavior to find the will to meaning or the frustrated search for it that is driving their retreat. Today, we will use the lens of Frankl's logotherapy to uncover the real reasons hidden beneath your adult child's withdrawal. These are not the reasons they tell you, "I'm just busy," but the deeper, often unconscious emotional truths they may not even be fully aware of themselves. By understanding these hidden drivers, fear of judgment, identity fragility, guilt, and the need for autonomy, you can shift from a place of hurt to a place of clarity. You can stop chasing them, which only pushes them further away, and start creating the kind of safe, undemanding space that invites them back. Let us journey together into the hidden meaning of avoidance to find a path toward healing for both of you. Reason number 1, the mirror of expectation. The first real reason for avoidance is that you have become a mirror of expectation. Even if you never say a critical word, your presence can act as a living reminder of the person they think they should be, but aren't. Frankl spoke of the burden of potentiality, the pressure to fulfill one's potential. If your adult child feels they are failing in life, financially, romantically, or professionally, seeing you reminds them of that gap. You represent the standard they haven't met. They avoid you not because they dislike you, but because they dislike the version of themselves they see reflected in your eyes. They project their own internal critic onto you. They assume you are disappointed, even if you are just happy to see them. This projection makes every interaction feel heavy with unspoken judgment. To escape the weight of this perceived disappointment, they stay away. It is an act of self-preservation to protect their fragile self-esteem. Understanding this shifts the dynamic entirely. You realize their avoidance is about their own shame, not your behavior. The antidote is to actively dismantle the mirror. You must communicate explicitly and repeatedly that your love is not attached to their achievements. When you praise their character rather than their success, "I love how kind you are," not "I love your new job," you break the mirror. You become a safe place to be imperfect, which is the only place an adult child wants to visit. Reason number 2, the fight for emotional oxygen. The second hidden reason is the desperate need for emotional oxygen. In many parent-child relationships, there is an invisible entanglement where the boundaries are blurred. If your emotional well-being depends too heavily on your child, if their happiness is your happiness, or if you look to them to soothe your loneliness, they feel suffocated. Frankl emphasized that every human being needs the freedom to be responsible for their own life. If they feel responsible for your life, they will run to catch their breath. Avoidance, in this case, is a boundary they set because they don't know how to set a verbal one. They feel that interacting with you drains them. They leave every visit feeling exhausted because they have been carrying the weight of your emotional needs. They avoid you to recharge. It is not malicious. It is a survival strategy to prevent emotional burnout. Recognizing this is painful but liberating. It asks you to take responsibility for your own emotional oxygen mask. When you fill your own cup with friends, hobbies, faith, and purpose, you stop sipping from theirs. You become a person who gives energy rather than takes it. When they realize that visiting you doesn't cost them their entire energy reserve, the avoidance often decreases. You become a partner in their life, not a project they have to manage. Reason number 3, the shadow of unresolved guilt. The third reason is the heavy shadow of unresolved guilt. Frankl taught that guilt is a powerful force that can either lead to growth or to paralysis. If your adult child feels they have wronged you, perhaps they borrowed money they can't repay, or they made choices they know hurt you, or they simply feel they haven't been a good enough son or daughter, guilt becomes a wall. Paradoxically, the more they feel they owe you, the more they avoid you. Facing you means facing their debt. Literal or emotional. It is easier to ghost you than to look you in the eye and feel the sting of their own conscience. They are hiding from their own sense of moral failure. They rationalize the avoidance to numb the guilt, telling themselves, "I'll call when I have good news, Maya." But the good news never seems good enough. To bridge this gap, you may need to offer a jubilee, a forgiveness of debts, spoken or unspoken. You can signal that the relationship matters more than the scorecard. Frankl believed in the redemptive power of love to cover a multitude of flaws. By showing them that they are accepted as is, with all their messy history, you remove the need for them to hide. You invite them out of the shadow and into the light of unconditional acceptance. If something in these words reached a part of you no one sees, you're welcome to support the channel through the thanks button. It helps keep this space of compassion alive. Reason number 4, the identity crisis and value clash. The fourth reason lies in the will to meaning itself. Frankl believed that we are all driven to find a unique purpose. Sometimes, an adult child's search for meaning leads them down a path that diverges sharply from their parents' values, religion, or lifestyle. If they feel that bringing their true self to you will result in conflict, judgment, or a lecture, they will avoid you to protect their identity. This is often called the authenticity gap. They feel they have to wear a mask around you to keep the peace. Wearing a mask is exhausting. It feels like a performance. They avoid you because they are tired of acting. They want to be known, but they fear that being known means being rejected. So they choose the safety of distance over the risk of authenticity. The solution here is radical curiosity. Instead of judging their new path, ask about it. Tell me what this means to you. Help me understand your perspective. When you approach their difference with curiosity rather than correction, you signal respect. You don't have to agree with them to value them. When they feel that their will to meaning is respected, they no longer need to avoid you to be themselves. You become a witness to their journey, not a roadblock. Reason number 5, the fear of regression. The fifth reason is the fear of regression. We all have an inner child, and often stepping back into our parents' home or presence triggers that child to come out, and not always in a good way. A successful, competent 40-year-old can instantly feel like a helpless or rebellious 14-year-old in the presence of their mother or father. Old patterns of bickering, defensiveness, or dependency re-emerge automatically. This regression is humiliating for an adult who is trying to see themselves as mature and capable. They avoid you because they don't like who they become when they are with you. They hate feeling small, scolded, or irritable. They stay away to maintain their adult dignity. It is a fight to preserve their self-image as a grown-up. To help with this, you must treat them as a peer. Change the dynamic consciously. Ask for their advice. Respect their time. Stop giving unsolicited instruction. When you treat them like the capable adult they are out in the world, you make it safe for them to be that person around you. You disrupt the regression pattern and allow a new adult-to-adult relationship to form. Reason number 6, the anxiety of intimacy. The sixth and final reason is the anxiety of intimacy itself. For some, closeness is terrifying. If your child has an avoidant attachment style, perhaps developed from early childhood dynamics or later traumas, intimacy feels like a trap. They experience love as a loss of freedom. When you get too close, an alarm bell goes off in their nervous system. Danger, pull back. This is the dance of intimacy. You step forward, they step back. If you chase, they run. They avoid you, not because they don't care, but because they care too much and don't know how to handle the vulnerability. They regulate their anxiety by regulating the distance. Frankl would encourage us to have patience with this fear. You cannot force an open flower. You can only provide the warmth and light that encourages it to open on its own. By being consistent, predictable, and non-demanding, you lower the threat level. You teach them slowly that intimacy with you is safe. You show them that they can come close without being trapped and leave without being guilt-tripped. This safety is the cure for their anxiety. When an adult child avoids you, it is easy to fall into the trap of thinking, they don't love me. But as we have seen through Viktor Frankl's insights, the reality is far more complex. They are avoiding the mirror of expectation, the suffocation of emotional needs, the shadow of guilt, the exhaustion of wearing a mask, the humiliation of regression, or the terror of intimacy. They are not running from you. They are running from the difficult feelings that arise in the space between you. Understanding these hidden reasons is the first step toward healing. It allows you to trade your hurt for compassion. It empowers you to change the only thing you can control, your own behavior. You can choose to become a mirror of acceptance rather than expectation. You can choose to fill your own cup. You can choose to offer amnesty for the past and respect for their future. By making these shifts, you change the atmosphere of the relationship. You remove the invisible barbed wire that keeps them away. You may not be able to force them to return, but you can clear the path. And often, when the path is clear and the pressure is gone, they find their own way back home. If this video resonated with you, please share your thoughts in the comments. Which of these reasons do you think might be playing a role in your relationship? Your story is a powerful part of our collective healing.